Thank you for joining us. We're joined now by former congressman and former gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin to discuss former President Donald Trump's upcoming rally at the Nassau Coliseum. Lee, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with us today. First off, I just want to ask you, what do you think former President Trump's message is going to be at the rally?
You ask voters what are the most important issues to you. They're talking about the economy, the cost of living, our border, crime, energy policy. I'm sure President Trump will be talking about all of these issues. And in New York, maybe even more so than just about anywhere else, we're experiencing people who are residents of a state who are deciding to flee that state because they're struggling to afford to survive. A lot of people are leaving New York and they're heading to the Carolinas, Tennessee, Texas, Florida. They feel like if they go there that their money will go further and that they'll feel safer. New York is always battling California for a position that really isn't enviable by any stretch. It's out-migration. And too many people are fleeing the state, and it's important to talk about why that is. So for President Trump, and really for any candidate at this stage, now you're less than 50 days away from November 5th, it's important to talk to voters about the issues that are most important to them. And, you know, when President Trump does a rally, these rallies are long. He engages with the audience for a long time. You know, they wait to get into the venue. You know, President Trump's not going to just show up, speak for 12 minutes and leave. That's never his plan. So I'm sure he'll be talking about a lot of other things as well, but nothing's more important than the substantive issues that voters are saying are most important to them.
And we know there's certainly a huge crowd expected at that rally. There have also been two very high-profile security incidents involving the former president. Of course, the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the apparent assassination attempt just this past weekend. So are you at all concerned about security at this event and moving forward?
Well, it's important to take all the precautions that are necessary to ensure that President Trump is safe, whether it is at this rally or any other events. We need all of our political candidates for all offices to be safe. And after two attempted assassinations over the course of the last couple months or so, it's especially important to make sure that there is no breach. He is clearly a target of people who are trying to kill him. And it's important for the Secret Service working with local law enforcement to ensure that he is protected. And the Nassau County Executive, Bruce Blakeman, working with great law enforcement in Nassau County and many other capable people in between. I'm sure that there will be a big focus on ensuring President Trump's safety when he comes to the rally and the safety of the rally attendees. As we witnessed on July 13th in Butler, while President Trump survived, a rally goer ended up being killed and a couple of others were shot. So it's important to keep everybody safe.
And Lee, we already know that there are going to be protests. Some community groups have said that they plan to protest, including Haitian Americans from Long Island. So in light of that, do you think the former president should moderate his tone on migrants?
No, we need to secure our border. He should be talking about everything that needs to get done to secure our border. And it's provided a stressor for schools and hospitals, for budgets and more. We're hearing from local communities that face rising crime, and there's concern from local Americans who deserve to have a voice as well. So he should absolutely be leaning into this real issue with regards to the border crisis that he needs to address and outline in contrast, because Kamala Harris has been in the White House for the last 3.5 years with President Biden, and there have been deliberate policies that have been enacted from the first day they came into office to open up border policy. So President Trump absolutely should be talking about this issue. And the reality is that for many voters, it's not just a top issue, it is their number one issue. So he should not avoid it. He should tackle it head on.
New York certainly is not considered to be a battleground state by any means. So why do you think former President Trump chose to hold this rally on Long Island? And also, do you think Republicans can win in New York?
I think that there are many reasons why President Trump is holding this rally. For one, his roots, his history. This is as personal as it gets. It holds a very special place in his heart. He helped build the New York City skyline, and his connection to New York is the entire metropolitan area and beyond. Secondly, is New York is a battleground. We saw how close the governor's race was when I ran in 2022. And in that race, we were able to elect many freshman House Republicans in districts that Joe Biden had won in 2020. We see that Eric Adams' numbers are worse. Kathy Hochul's numbers are worse. We were just talking about the border crisis, which actually wasn't a top three issue for a lot of voters back then. The voter registration numbers since 22 have moved in the Republicans' favor. The numbers have gone down for Democrats, up for Republican Party registration, up for Conservative Party registration, up for independent, non-affiliated voter registration. Independent voters are supporting President Trump in the polls in New York, and there are millions of non-affiliated voters. So even though New York has about 3.5 million or so more Democrats than Republicans, when you factor in all those independents who favor President Trump, the reality is that this race in 2024 is far closer than it was in 2020 against President Biden. And President Trump's not taking anything for granted. He's talking about wanting to do this rally for a long time. I'm sure he's going to be excited, thrilled to be here, and there'll be a massive turnout ready to greet him inside that arena. And they were hoping for a long time. They've been asking for years for President Trump to do another rally on Long Island.
All right, and he will be here. And Lee, are you going to be speaking at the rally? And if so, what will you discuss?
Yeah, I look forward to speaking at the rally, and Long Island is home for me, born and raised, talking to a lot of people who are longtime constituents and volunteers, people who voted for me in 2022, and they're fired up. They want to save our country, and they care about the issues that we've been talking about here in this interview. They want President Trump to go back into office to make life in this country more affordable, to have a president who is not starting new foreign wars, but ending them, to ramp up our energy production and becoming more and more energy independent. The list goes on, making sure that our streets are safer. And as we were just talking about here a few minutes ago, outlining that contrast with Kamala Harris, because she is the furthest left nominee that we have seen from any major party over the course of my lifetime, at least, maybe ever. And I think it's important for Americans to understand that contrast and know what we're getting with Kamala Harris, who was flying under the radar for a long time, but she snuck up on that Democratic Party nomination. She is the Democratic nominee, and it's important that she gets vetted out between now and November 5th.
All right, and we just have a few moments left, but do you think that former President Trump will visit any businesses or any, notable places on Long Island during his visit?
I don't have anything else with regards to his schedule and movements to be able to share at this time.
All right, so we'll see what happens. Thank you so much, former Congressman Lee Zeldin. Thank you for joining us and offering your insight.